I restored my dad's '69 Camaro with my husband for 2 years. At Cars and Coffee, a stranger said, "She's a beauty. I bought her off your husband for 12 grand. He used my title and forged my name. I'm 34F, he's 36M. We live in Raleigh, North Carolina, near North Hills, in a brick ranch with creaky floors and a magnolia that dumps leaves like it's a hobby. I do marketing for a local credit union. He's an HVAC tech who can make a dead unit purr with a tap and a prayer. My dad died 6 years ago. He left me two things that were really one thing: a greasy Chilton manual with his notes in the margins and a 1969 Camaro he'd been meaning to finish since my freshman year. It lived under a tarp in my parents' garage like a sleeping animal. When Mom sold the house, I towed it to ours and said, "We're doing this." My husband Matt said, "Hell yes," like the boy I fell in love with at Char Grill in 2012. We spent 2 years on that car. We ordered parts we couldn't afford, and I learned to sand in the dark with a headlamp on. He taught me things I didn't think I had in me to learn: torque specs, timing lights, how to swear gently when a bolt strips. The first time the engine turned over and caught, I put my head on the steering wheel and cried while fuel fumes made us both stupid and happy. It was my dad's hands on mine across time. Small Raleigh sentence: after a late night in the garage, we'd run to Snoopy's for hot dogs and eat them on the trunk, paint under our nails and mustard on our hands. The title was in my name. The plates would be too. When I got around to standing in line at the DMV, I wanted to earn that plastic. The keys were on a hook by the back door. We kept the car in the garage, a blue cover over it, like a secret. Sometimes I'd go out there with a beer and just sit in it to be near my dad. Cars and Coffee at Raleigh Grande has been our Saturday nerd church for as long as we've been together. In late May, we took the Camaro out for its first public. It wasn't perfect. She gurgled a little. The clear coat had a run near the rear quarter. My dad's bench seat had a tear I hadn't sewn yet. She was beautiful. We parked. People did that. Respectful orbit car. People do. Old men told me about the one they had in high school. Teenagers took pictures. Matt beamed like he built the world. A guy about 50 in a Hurley shirt and Oakley's walked up with a coffee and a smile. "You got her running," he said to Matt. He slapped the roof like it was a dog. "Man, when you said 12 grand, I thought you were messing with me." Time slowed. "Sorry?" I said. He stuck out his hand to me. "Rick," he said, "I bought her from your husband about 6 weeks ago. Bill of sale. Still waiting on you to sign the back of the title, though. The DMV is a nightmare." He laughed like DMV misery was a shared joke. I looked at Matt. He made a sound like a dying radiator. Then he did the thing where men try to move the moment forward. "Rick, man," he said, too bright. We should probably talk," I heard myself say. Rick looked between us. "I did something wrong?" he asked. "Maybe not you," I said. "But this isn't your car." Rick lifted his chin. He reached into his bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper like a Christmas Carol ghost. "I have the bill of sale," he said, and handed it to me. It said, "Bill of sale seller, Matthew, last name, buyer, Richard, last name, vehicle, 1969 Chevrolet Camaro, VIN, redacted, amount, $12,000 Ziz." Underneath, a signature that was supposed to be mine, a cursive J and a loop I never make. He tried to copy my driver's license signature and flunked. I looked at the title copy he printed. My name, my address, my signature in the transfer section. I felt like someone had taken my stomach out and put it on the hood in the sun. We didn't make a scene. Raleigh does a good, polite face. I put the paper back in Rick's hand. "We need to go," I said to Matt. "Now." We drove home in silence. I stared at the dashed line on Falls of Noose like it could steady me. Matt started to talk 3 times and stopped. At a red light, he finally said, "It's not what you think." "What I think," I said, and my voice was terrifyingly even, "is that you sold my dad's car without asking me, forged my name on the title, and took $12,000 for a car we had insured for $45,000. He closed his eyes. "You don't understand," he said. "I got a letter from the IRS. From when I cashed out crypto in 2021. I thought I'd covered it. There were penalties. I was 3 months behind on the truck. The visa had crept up. You were happy. I didn't want to say, hey, I screwed up. I thought, sell it, pay the IRS, catch up on the truck, and then I'd buy it back from Rick when the job bonus hit in August. He looked at me like a dog who knows a bath is coming. I was fixing it. It came out ugly and true. We pulled into the driveway. I walked past the Magnolia and straight into the garage and stared at the empty rectangle where the Camaro slept. I felt like a person in a dream where the furniture is wrong. "Where's the title?" I asked. "In the safe," he said, small. I opened the safe. The title was there. He'd filled out the transfer section with my name and a slop of loops, no notary. North Carolina requires one for titles. He'd made a copy of the front, handed Rick the copy like it meant something, and told Rick the DMV would handle the rest. Rick had given him cash and a handshake and a man smile that trusted other men with cars. "I'm calling the police," I said. "Please don't," he said. "It's civil." "If the title is in your name and you didn't consent, that's not just civil," she said. "You can file a report. The DA will decide." An officer came out. He looked at the title, at the bill of sale copy Rick had texted me for proof, and at me. "I'm sorry," he said. "We see this in divorces and estate fights. Not usually with 69 Camaros." I filed a report. I also called a lawyer. "Her name is Linda. She does family law and weird property stuff," her words. "She met me Monday in a conference room that smelled like carpet cleaner and coffee. I told her the story without crying, which is my new party trick. You have options," she said. "Replevin is your friend." She explained like I was 5 and grateful I could file an action to recover possession of personal property wrongfully taken. I could ask for an immediate order to seize the car because the title was in my name and the purported transfer was forged and therefore void. "Good faith purchasers can't magic ownership out of a forgery," she said. "Rick's beef is with your husband." Small USA local sentence. I ate a Bojangles Cajun filet biscuit in the parking lot after the meeting because I couldn't make a salad and I needed all the salt in North Carolina. The next week was a circus I didn't know how to be in. Linda filed a complaint and a motion for immediate possession. The judge signed a writ. A Wake County deputy met Rick in his driveway with me trailing behind in my Subaru, tears in my throat, a sheriff in bootcut pants looking like the only adult in the room. Rick was mad, then sad, then embarrassed. "I paid cash," he said, "from my gun safe. Don't put this on Facebook." "I won't," I said. Then I hugged him, which is absurd, but he'd been used to. He rolled the Camaro out of his garage. I put my hand on the roof like you touch a miracle. The deputy handed me a form to sign and asked if I wanted to have it towed or drive it. I drove it, my hands shaking, the seat too low for a woman and just right for a girl whose dad taught her to like low seats. I changed the locks. I put the keys in a kitchen drawer that only I open. I moved the title to my bank's safe deposit box. Then I sat on the garage floor, put my head on the tire, and cried until the cat came and sat on my leg like she was pinning me to the earth. I texted Matt, "The car is home. Do not come here. Speak to Linda." He texted back, "I'm sorry. I love you. I'll fix it." I didn't answer. I didn't trust my fingers. Updates update 1, 2 weeks after Cars and Coffee, legal things moved. Linda served Matt with the civil suit. She also sent the police report to the ADA on duty with a note prima facie forgery uttering, I learned the phrase uttering a forged instrument and hated that I live in a world where that applies to me. Rick filed a small claims action against Matt for his $12,000. He settled for a payment plan because he is, shockingly, a decent person who looked at me and said, "I've been stupid before." He did not call a news station. I bought him a coffee, and we agreed to never speak of the other man's wrist tattoo again. Matt went to see a criminal lawyer. He turned himself in. He was charged with forgery, endorsing title, and obtaining property by false pretenses. He texted me a picture of his bond paperwork, like that made him accountable. I did not reply. Linda said, "Good. We stay quiet." My mother came over with deviled eggs and rage. She looked at the car and then at me. "Your father would be in jail for beating his son-in-law," she said. "Luckily, you are both smarter and meaner." We sat on the porch and ate deviled eggs and didn't plan a murder. She's the kind of woman who cries at commercials, which used to charm me and now makes me tired. I told her, "I don't need you to excuse him. I need you to stop." She did. She brought me a fig tree cutting the next week and left it on my porch without a knock. Matt wrote me a long letter. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He told me about the IRS letter 18,400 plus penalties. He didn't tell me because he didn't want me to see him as a failure. He wrote, "I wanted to be your dad in this story, the saver, the finisher, the one who brings you the keys." I read it twice and put it in the drawer with the keys. I am not his priest. I hired a divorce attorney. Linda does family law, but she said that you need someone who wakes up angry about equitable distribution. Her name is Tasha. She wears suits in colors that could wake the dead. I left her office with a list: gather account statements, freeze joint credit cards, move half of the joint savings into an account in my name, do not touch the 401k, do not fight the cat. I slept 3 hours that night, then got up and did the list like it was a spell. Update 3. 2 months later, Matt pled to a misdemeanor version of obtaining property by false pretenses. The ADA did not want to ruin a working guy's life over a car when restitution was happening and he had no record. He got probation, community service, and a line on a background check that will follow him for 7 years. He's paying Rick $500 a month for 2 years with a balloon at the end. He's paying me nothing. Linda rolled my losses into equitable distribution. Tasha filed for divorce. In North Carolina, you have to be separated for a year before divorce finalizes, but you can do a separation agreement with property divided. We wrote one. The Camaro is listed by VIN as separate property. It is mine. There is a clause that says any lien or attempt to encumber shall trigger liquidated damages. I did not know I needed that sentence. Now I sleep because it exists. Small USA local sentence. I grabbed the chocolate shake from Chargrill and sat in the parking lot listening to a podcast about nothing, sunshine on my knees. Update 4. During 3 months later, people asked, "Why didn't you just take his keys?" as if keys are the point. I took the keys. I took the control. I took the narrative. That story eats you if you let it. A coworker whispered, "My husband sold my grandmother's ring to pay a gambling debt. I wore a fake for 2 years while I saved to buy it back. We went to lunch and didn't eat." Women pass maps in bathrooms. Rick texted me a picture of his new project, a '78 Ford F-150. He said, "I learned a lesson." I wrote back, "Me too," and forgot to put my phone down for an hour because thoughts are loud when you stop reading other people's. Matt started therapy. He told me because I asked once. He didn't tell me details because I never asked again. He started sending $200 under car fund to a separate account I opened for the Camaro's future paint job. He doesn't get points. He gets to not be sued again. Update 5. 6 months later, I joined a women's wrenching night at an auto shop on Atlantic. They let me use their lift. We replaced the cam gaskets and the valve cover together. One of the women, retired engineer, looked at me and said, "I rebuilt my MG after my ex took the transmission. You will be fine." She said it like a blessing. I went to Cars and Coffee alone. I parked. People did the orbit. A dad and his kid looked at the engine. The dad said, "Tell her what you see." The kid said, "It's old." I laughed, then showed him where the oil dipstick is and let him pull it. He looked up like he'd been given a sword. Small Raleigh sentence. On my way home, I stopped at Rise and bought 2 biscuits because I am both sad and greedy. I ate one on the hood and brought one to my neighbor who has rescued my trash can 6 times. Update 6. 9 months later, the Camaro needed paint. Dad would have hated paying someone else, but he's not here, and I'm done inhaling fumes in my garage. I took her to a shop in Garner. The owner is a woman with sleeve tattoos of spark plugs and roses. She listened to me say, "I want to honor what she is without making her look like a Hot Wheels," and said, "We can do that." We picked a color close to the original Lemon's blue with less metallic flake. I cried like a person who is ridiculous about 13 things. I wrote the deposit check from the car fund account Matt has been trickling into and my own money. It felt like exhaling something I didn't know I was holding. Update 7. 1 year later, our separation year ended. We signed the absolute divorce papers at the Wake County clerk. It was boring and heady. I went to Lou, said a grace after, and bought a pastry that looked like art and tasted like butter. The Camaro came back from paint 2 weeks later. She was herself, but clean. The shop owner ran her hand along the curve and said, "She's a good one." I put my palm on that fender and said, "Thanks, Dad," like a fool in a parking lot while a tow truck beeped faintly. Matt texted that night, "I heard she's home. She looks great." I didn't reply. We are done. He is not a monster. He is a man who made a monstrous choice and then kept making small, decent ones because he didn't want to be that man anymore. Both can be true. Neither is my job. Small USA local sentence. I took the belt line from Lassiter Mill to Anderson and watched a kid with a fishing pole walk like he owned the creek. I smiled and didn't think about paperwork for a whole half-mile. Update 8. 14 months later, Rick and I ended up in the same row at a Mudcats game. He waved like you wave at neighbor you once saw without pants, friendly with a thick layer of "we will never speak of that." He said his F-150 runs. I said my car shines. He said, "You dating?" I said, "Me and that car have plans." And we laughed. It was kind. I started seeing someone, actually. A guy from the Wrenching Knights. He wears safety glasses without being asked and reads for fun. He knows about the Camaro and about my dad and about the way men write their fear as protection. He is gentle and not the point of the story. Update 9. 18 months later. If you're reading this because you found your dad's car on Facebook Marketplace under your husband's username, I'm sorry. Here's what I know. Titles matter. If the title is in your name and someone forged your signature, that's a void transfer. In a lot of states, you can replevi recover your property even from a good faith purchaser. It's not their fault. It's not their car. Call a lawyer. Yes, even if you hate spending money, the $500 you spend now saves you $12,000 and your sanity later. Ask about Replevin, conversion forgery. Use their words. Don't let the system domestic dispute you into silence. Theft is still theft if you share a bed. The cops are people. Some will roll their eyes. Call the next one. Talk to the ADA. Don't burn the world down in one day. Change locks. Move titles. Freeze credit. Boring things are the bones you need to stand up. Women will hand you maps in bathrooms and parking lots. Take them. Hand yours back later when someone else needs a map. Eating in your car alone is a love language. Your dad's voice will come back, not as a ghost, as your own. Small North Carolina sentence. I drove the Camaro down Atlantic Avenue at sunset with the windows down and cicadas screaming, stopped at Raleigh Times for a beer with friends, and for a full song on the radio I didn't think about any man's paperwork, just the road and the way second gear still makes me feel like I got away with something. Final tiny note. I thought the worst part would be what he did. It wasn't. It was the weeks after, when your heart wants to make narrative furniture out of grief and you have to keep saying no. The car is back. The boy is gone. Dad is still dead and somehow everywhere. I can look at the paint and see my face and know I did the kind of small, relentless work women have always done. I kept what mattered. I think that's enough.